Hello and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker and I'm your host. And on this show, I tell you always we're looking to compress time, to take back time, to be smarter and not work harder. So that is the goal today. And we're going to have an amazing show today because I have Donna Blevins with us, and I'm going to tell you more about her in a minute, but just my personal introduction to her is we met actually for the first time relatively recently. And this woman, she will blow you away, not just because she's 6'5", and that's incredible just in itself, but she's just, I think that just a big person as well, big heart and big mind, and all of the big represents, right? So I'm so excited to have Donna on the show because we're gonna have a lot of fun, and you guys as guests are gonna learn a lot. So you might want to take out a pen and paper. You might want to watch this or listen to this a second or third time because there's going to be a lot embedded in here, and I know that I'm even going to listen to it again, and I haven't even recorded it yet. So Donna Blevins, she is a PhD and is a MindShift coach, and we're going to find out more about what that is. She's a motivational speaker, an international professional poker player, intrigue, who's used her MindShift exercises to accelerate her miraculous recovery from a life-threatening stroke. Her innovative game-based brain training techniques, and they are innovative. I'm telling you, I've seen a lot of stuff, and this stuff is really innovative and very, very much her own work that's coming to play here, which is amazing. And these techniques help wounded warriors who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and traumatic brain injury, which earned her a recognition award from the Department of Veteran Affairs. Donna is transparent, yes, just like me, very direct, and openly shares how you can shift your mindset in an instant. So Donna, welcome.
I am so happy to be here, Penny. We're going to have some fun together.
Yes, we are. So much to talk about. You know, what's important for the guests. First of all, let's go back a little bit and understand, you know, because I think one of the intriguing things, you know, is the poker aspect, right? You know, how did you get into poker, and is that where your mind shift kind of interest began, or did it begin before that?
Oh, my mind shifting, I've been doing all my life without actually knowing that's what I was doing. I didn't have the words for it until the past probably dozen years when the words kind of came out as far as being a mind shift.
Right.
But I had been thinking differently on purpose. And I think that has a lot to do with mind shifting.
It does. Actually, I'd like you to share, you had a story that that was in your book about your mother and how you remember back to when she was reading you stories and how that may have had a really big impact. Could you share that story?
It's so true. It's about the child's book, The Little Engine That Could. And it's about this little cartoon engine. It's trying to get over this mountain, and it goes, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And my mother, after she would, in the book, it said, I think I can all the way through. But in my mother, after she said, I think I can, she changed it automatically and started saying, I know I can, I know I can. So she imprinted that on my subconscious.
Wow. Wow. I don't know if the people listening get the subtle but absolutely powerful difference in those words and what it could have really impacted. When you say you've been doing this all your life, I would imagine that's because that's what you learned in that way.
Yeah, mother has my touchstone. Mother, fortunately, she is still with us. She's 93.
Wow.
And even though mother has moderate dementia, she's actually, we've been doing some alternative therapies, and she's actually, it's like she's come back out. It's just astonishing. And we've been having conversations, and she's ignoring me less. Some people think it might be her hearing, but I think it's just she's ignoring me. So, anyway, but she would tell me as I'm growing, I grew 9 inches in 1 year. in the 5th grade, and it's very painful, not emotionally from my standpoint, but it was physically painful because your bones grow that fast, your muscles and ligaments grow slower, and they're trying to rip away.
Oh,
And so
wow.
she would say, stand up, stick them out, and be proud, even before I had anything to stick out. And so she would tell me, you can do this, you can do this. And she imprinted that on my subconscious.
Wow. Wow, that's incredible. Kudos to your mom. I mean, when I read that story, I was really like, wow, wish I could go back in time for my kids. They're older, they're not reading those books anymore. So I have to think about really be purposeful about how things are being presented, because they make a huge difference. And just because that's the way they are on paper, as your mom thought, it doesn't mean that's necessarily the way she has to deliver it. So that's incredible. So let's come back to, what's the first time, whether it was poker or not poker, I definitely want to talk a little bit about that, but when was the first time when you realized that you're doing this on purpose and that you have a desire to help other people to do this too?
I believe that the first time I actually consciously understood the mind shifting was 20 years after I graduated from high school. I'm getting ready to go on television with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And he asked me if
Who's taller?
He's 7'2".
Okay, just checking.
Actually, they had me come on because the host, it was the Hour magazine, Gary Collins, was 6'1". He wasn't quite that tall. Men kind of lie about their age. Excuse me. They stretched their age, their height a little bit. Right. And they wanted someone that was between them, and for both of them to be comfortable. And I'm at 6'5" in those days. I was wearing probably 4-inch heels, and I would wear the 6-inch platforms when I could find them to fit me. And you may go, what? And I'm going, hey, should I hide? No. And he asked me the question. He asked me if I played basketball, and I was, first time I was really delighted someone had, because I didn't play basketball of my own volition when I got to high school. I was so uncoordinated because I'd grown so fast. And he asked me how many points I had scored over the years I was in high school. And when I told him, he started laughing. And I thought, oh, he's laughing at me. And he said, don't you know? He said, the man, he said, Magic Johnson has an average score of 23 points this year, and he's fabulous. And I said, do you mean that my 36 points meant I would average over those years meant I was a good basketball player? He said, no, it meant you were a star. And in that moment, I had a mega mind shift, because I realized it was the words I had been saying to myself for all of those years. I had been saying, why am I such a poor basketball player? So it changed the way I was thinking. That one shift was probably the one shift when I really got to the point of looking at the words. Wow.
And then what proceeded from there?
Well, I went to the first week that neuro-linguistic program, the first week seminar neuro-linguistic programming had in the 80s. And that was when I first really began to see the words and understand how words are anchored and what that meant, and how we need to listen to the words that come out of our mouth.
And that is so important. I mean, we found that we have this totally in common. I also didn't realize that I was so hooked on words, and then I also took NLP and realized, and it even made it more profound, right? And then you can't not see those words or hear them even when they come out of your own mouth, and you're like, okay, I gotta do something here.
Yeah, and one of the chapters in the book is called Tag.
Yeah.
And that's about listening to yourself, or someone that you love that you're working with. Or I do with my coaching clients, I ask them permission to tag them. And that is when I hear something comes out of your mouth, rather than let it go and just say tag gently and lovingly, they'll say, okay, what did I say? And I said, well, just consider these words. How might you reframe them? And then they go about saying, well, it took me a long time. It did take me a long time to figure out how to craft the words. But delightfully, when I met my husband in 1986, I told him about this, and he said, meh. And I went, well, can we give it a try? And he said, sure. And we started using it in our personal life, in our business life, and we are still using it today, because sometimes words come out without our intention of them coming out a particular way. And so we lovingly go, tag. And it's a great way to shift the words.
That's awesome. I love how it's so, strategies are cross-contextual, right? You can use it in your relationships. You can use it at work. You can use it as a coach. And I love that. I just finished reading that chapter, actually, and I loved the playfulness of it, that it's tag. It's a game. It's light, as opposed to, calling someone out on their words. It's lovingly just saying, tag, there's something that we need to reframe, and for ourselves to be more gentle and forgiving on ourselves. Tag is a beautiful, and you talk a lot about forgiveness in your process, and I found that in itself leads itself to be open to forgiveness and just to reframe it. So, and for people, let's relate this back to take back time. So, they're thinking, okay, how can I use this to be smarter in the way that I do things? And because sometimes, unless we spell it out for people, they don't necessarily make the connection. So I'd love that we can make the connection for people of how a simple little tool like this of tagging, let's call them unproductive words, right? If we bring it into productivity and say we have productive words and unproductive words. So, so not making anything good or bad, just some things are more productive. How do you see this being a productivity tool?
Oh, it's fabulous, because it's by getting to that point of self-forgiveness without saying, oh, I need to go forgive myself. You just do it. It's part of the process. When you step through a process, a MindShift exercise, you retrain your brain how to step through it. It might be 5 or 6 steps to do it. You do that enough times so that it becomes a habit. Then when something comes up again, you need to tag yourself. You don't have to sit down and go, oh, I've got to go through those steps. You can just literally go, okay, tag. And your brain goes through it. You literally rewire the neural pathways in your brain. Oh, I could say that today. I'm so happy I did. Since this is a podcast, thank you.
Right.
And our brain plasticity is just phenomenal. I had no idea that we had the ability to do that. But by taking a few moments each day, and I suggest a 10-minute a day process where you practice a MindShift exercise. And my coaching clients have called my MindShift exercises yoga and meditation on steroids, because in today's life, we can't say, well, it's like at the poker table. In fact, I was literally at the poker table when I realized that life was different. It was when I first started playing in 1996. I'm in my late 40s at the time. And by the way, I am 70. Do I sound like I'm 70?
No, who cares, right? What is age?
Well, 70 is the new sexy. So I've actually got that domain. So I'm going to do something with that too. That's going to be fun. And what I realized, I'm in a hand, and at the time we had a real estate company, and I'm sitting there in a hand. I have cards in front of me, and it's my turn to act, and I'm fretting about what had happened that day. And a contractor I'm dealing with, because I manage a bunch of contractors, and I'm thinking about what I have to do tomorrow. And it was like the universe did a forehead smack. And it was like, wait a minute, there's only one thing that exists ever. It's the cards you have. There's nothing else that exists. Everything else is either gone or not yet here. And I had it, a calm came over me that was life-changing. At that moment, I went into a place that they call the zone when you're in a competition, when everything else seems to just diffuse. It kind of fades away. And I came to a place of peace that was profound in that moment at the poker table when I didn't even know what beat what. And it told me, I was able to realize that there's only one thing that exists. It's now. And it brought me to the mindfulness. And that's the whole key to mind shifting. Wow.
I love that metaphor, that it's the cards in your hand right now and what you do with them. That's powerful in that context, right? that's the way it came to you. And I think that we all do get these messages in our own language, like whatever it is that we do. So like somebody who's in real estate, maybe it's, something in their context, but the question is, are we listening?
We get so
Most of the time we're not listening.
That's right. We get so preoccupied with what's going on. It's to literally, and in the notes for today, you had said come up with 3 tips, and there's 3 things that I think can trump everything else, and that is take 3 simple, long, deep breaths. And it is astonishing because in the middle of the chaos, if you just stop a moment, I don't care what's going on. Well, you can't close your eyes when you're driving, but even when you're driving, you can do it. And you take a deep breath and you hold that breath and just be in the moment when you're holding the breath. And then when you release, let your shoulders drop. Wow, you're going, wow, there was tension there. And take another breath and just in through the nose and go, and just hold, just be there in the moment. And it feels so good. And exhale through softly pursed lips and drop your shoulders. I do it all the time. I'm enjoying this. I'm going to do it one more time.
I'm enjoying it too.
And you just hold it, drop the shoulders as you exhale. For me, talking about 3 simple tips, that's life-saving for me.
Yeah.
Because I can literally do that, and if my heart has started going a little faster, I can literally drop my heartbeat 15 beats a minute in those 3 breaths. And
that's what athletes do, right? They're taught this breathing style, right? I've read it in several different books, is when they're stressed, right? What happens to our heart rate, right? It goes up, and at a certain point, I think it's like 150 beats, right, per minute. We get to the point where we go into fight or flight. So we're not able to really be present in the moment. We're more in survival mode. So by breathing, it helps to bring it down. And we are, whatever you want to call it, corporate athletes, parent athletes, we're the life athletes, right? Because we're constantly on the go. So this is so important for everyone.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we need to do is the point just left. I was going to say it. Okay, you go ahead, and I'll find it in a minute.
Was it about athletes and people in their everyday?
Yes, because I think that if we acknowledge that we are life athletes, that will make us feel better. That puts us in a different place. And when you were talking about when your heart rate gets up to about 150, we go into that flight or fight mode. There's actually another F in there. Not that one. There's actually another F in there. It's actually, and they don't talk about it, but I discovered it's either fight, flight, or freeze.
Right.
Because we will actually do that, and that needs to be brought in there because people need to understand that. But the thing of it is that that anxiety, that can be a positive when we use it. If we use that stress to our detriment, it is going to be harmful to us. Because if you can literally switch how you're thinking from being in fear to being in control, even when you're dealing with anxiety, and you can all of a sudden go, wow, I've shifted a gear and I'm using that a different way. And then it becomes more fuel rather than static.
Kelly McGonigal, who I've quoted in my TEDx, which you said you just had listened to, she talks about the challenge response versus the stress response, right? That there's 2 different ways that we can use that stress, either to, impact us the way you said, where it's holding us back, or something that fuels us. And it's simply a simple shift, right? It's the same energy. It's just how we direct that energy or don't direct it. So that's really powerful. And freeze, just bringing it back to the context of the people who are listening, that's where procrastination takes place, right? Is that fight, flight, or freeze is the procrastination. Like, I'm not going to do anything because, you know, and I did a talk, what was it? It was probably about 2 years ago now, around weight loss. And I talked about the binge restrict cycle that we go through. And not just when we eat, but also in our activities, right? We binge in the to do, and then we, you know, we burn out and just fall apart. And we binge movies, right? We binge, and then maybe we stop for a while. So we go into and we beat ourselves up. Oh, I shouldn't have done that, right? I shouldn't have binged, you know, all weekend on movies. So we go into this binge and restrict cycle. And I think, you know, that also coming back to your forgiveness, I was thinking about that earlier, is we can break that cycle too when we have some greater forgiveness for ourselves. That helps us to let go.
Yeah, and I think that there's a couple of words I have deleted from my vocabulary, literally. I've deleted forget and forgot, because, and I'm tapping right now saying that I'm not owning those words anymore. I'm just talking about them, because after I had my stroke Halloween of 2013, I could only speak 2 words, and I could say Donna, and I could say crap.
Well, thank goodness you could say crap.
Yeah, and everybody started laughing, and I thought, well, you know, I was reframing it. I decided to reframe that from owning the stroke to using it as a plaything. And you may think that's really weird, but I decided I would rather have fun than sit there and whine about not being able to talk. And they airlifted me to our Florida State Teaching Hospital, and all along the way, the healthcare team is saying she will never be able to speak again. It'll take her 8 to 9 months before she can speak, and it'll probably be garbled for the rest of her life. And I had this internal remote control. I'd go delete, cancel that, and by doing a MindShift exercise, I probably did this one particular MindShift exercise probably 100 times in 3 days. And on the 3rd day, I was able to speak clearly.
I read that in your book, and you told me, and it's like, that's incredible. And so I guess what I want, you know, people to get out of this is that these MindShift exercises, you've made them very easy, right? Very simple. But who was it? It was Jim Rohn who said they might be simple, but you have to do them, right? If you don't do it, then it's not simple. So, but it's so powerful. And look at the life shift, right, that it created for you. And that's productivity, right? If you just cut out the healing process from 9 months to a couple of days, like, you know, that shows that you can overcome anything that you're procrastinating, afraid of, anything that it's how we show up for our time that I always say makes the difference. And it's our words and these practices that you're talking about that help us to shift from one state to another quickly. And to me, that's the essence of productivity, because, you know, yeah, you can use some kind of a software or something like that, but it's the mindset that sets the basis of how you show up.
Yeah, we have access to the most powerful biological supercomputer in the world, and it's right here.
Totally.
It is our brain, it is our mind, and we have the ability to use that. It's our thoughts, our create our beliefs, the create our actions. We can change what's happening in our life by the way we think, because that creates our beliefs, and how we show up is based on how we feel, because we have the ability. And let me tell you the blessing in having this stroke. It actually taught me that we do have the ability to connect powerfully, this mind, body, spirit connection, and we have the ability to rewire our neural pathways. We have the ability to change our body on a molecular level by the way we think and what we focus on. As you talked about in your TED Talk, it's, you know, we change our focus. What do we want to be? And that's it. But I didn't really understand that we do have the ability to affect our body on a physical level. That's profound by the way we think.
And you got that firsthand. I mean, there's nothing more proving your exercises than having the real thing. So, you know, it's incredible that that you are able to look at that as a gift, right? And because there's people who are like, what? How could you even see that as a gift? And the thing is because it's easy to do that, I guess, when you have the mindset that you have and the ability to access these tools. And anybody can do this, right? I think that's what's important, is that anybody can do this. Anybody can see any experience in their life as a gift, because it's going to be able to deliver also lessons and different ways of looking at things that are going to open up new possibilities.
Yeah, even in the middle of a crisis, when they're terrible and things that you don't have control over. And this may be something that you're going to go, how in the world can I ever do that? But even in the middle of that, just take a moment and say, what blessing could there be here? What opportunity to learn?
Yeah.
Just reframe it. Just reframe it just a tiny bit. They say everything is only 6 degrees from something else. So just change it just a little bit, the way you think about it, rather than focus on and whining. Oh God, leave the whining at the door, please.
Absolutely. That's the way it showed up for me with my divorce process. Is that's what I focused on. It was it was very difficult, and at the same time it became very easy, because I did focus on what can I learn from this. What's my role in this, so that I could also look as how I needed to change. And it makes you look at things completely differently. And I'm really proud of how that situation turned out. And it was because of those questions that I asked myself, because like I think you were getting at, is we can actually shift our thinking through asking a simple question.
Oh, we can. We can shift our thinking by the way we craft the questions. As a matter of fact, I don't think I shared this with you. One of my coaching one of my coaching clients contacted me on Facebook. We contact a lot on direct messenger on Facebook, and he said, "Oh, I'm in trouble." And I said, "What kind of trouble?" He said, my blood pressure. I went to the doctor. My blood pressure is really high. I said, well, give me the numbers. It was like 168 over 125. That's really bad. And I said, well, what's the doctor say? And he said, well, they're going to do some tests and all that. And I said, well, consider using the why questions that we had crafted in relationship to his sleep patterns. He'd actually gone from, he has one of those watches that tells him when he's moving around. He was able to go from 80 times of being restless during the night to 20 in one session of questions. And he said he said that had been, and then he was at the doctor's office, and I said, what is it now? And it was like 186 over 145. And I said, look, give me a call. And so I called, and I said, you just need to change those why questions. Focus on the why questions, rather than saying, why is my blood pressure so high? It's, why is my blood pressure going down easily now? Why am I feeling better? Oh, why is it stepping down 5 points at a time? I haven't asked him what his questions were, but I've got to get them, because the next day he reached out to me and he said, Donna, it's working. I said, what's the numbers? And it was 135 over 75. Wow. And he went in the next day to have a recheck of the doctor, and they had not given him any medication. None. And the nurse said, what's going on? And he said, I told him about your book. So it's the question. They bought one
for all of their patients.
That's right. We
can, right? Unfortunately, the medical model doesn't accept this type of thing as quickly as they could.
Well, again, the CEO of a hospital emailed me and said, are these evidence-based? And I went back, yes, we've got evidence to that effect. So who knows? We'll see.
Who knows? Absolutely. We can only look forward to that as a result, because really the medical model, in my personal view, is band-aiding. If you take a medication, it's not really going to the root cause, and it's not shifting from the thinking perspective. It's like making a New Year's resolution. Is you can think that's, I want this, but your thinking is what sabotages you from being consistent and doing it, right? So that's kind of how I see that model. Is you have to go to the root cause if you really want to make changes like this.
At the same time, I want to thank and give thanks to Western medicine. And I'm a hybrid. I'm an Eastern philosopher combined with Western medicine. But there's too much intervention without working with the root cause of the body. And
yeah, I agree. I'm not against Western or Eastern medicine, right? I also am a fan of acupuncture and different types of other.
Sure.
I believe, yeah, it's the combination that makes the most sense, right? And my favorite doctors are the ones who know both, because then they're able to see which one really is necessary in the particular moment and how to.
Absolutely. When I went in for a heart procedure last year, and I'm laying there on the table, and the doctor comes in and says, "Well, is your name Donna Blevins Weitzel?" And I said, "Yes." "Well, Miss Blevins Weitzel." I said, "Please just call me Coach." And he said, "What kind of coach?" Now I'm laying there getting ready to put me under, right? And I'm laying there, and he says, "What kind of coach?" And I said, "Well, I'm a MindShift coach." And he said, "Oh, I need that. What about?" And I start coaching the doctor from the operating table. And he ended up saying, "I have to have your book." And so I sold the book.
That's dedication to.
I was just sharing. I wasn't trying to sell a book. And he said, "Well, what is it called?" I said, MindShift on Demand. And he said, "Oh, I have to have that." He was literally in my room the next day. And I did a mind shifting session with him, by the way.
That's so cool. I think when you're passionate about it and you love what you do and you can see the difference that it makes, it's hard not to share it everywhere. I can imagine that's the way I feel anyway as well.
Sure.
So we're going a little bit longer than I had anticipated because it's so much fun and we could talk and talk and talk. So we'll have to do also another session. I did want you to touch. You did touch upon your poker days and that aha that came from poker, and but we'll come back and we'll do another session together and share some more tools. You did share the tag tool. Is there anything before we end today's session that you wanted to share with the audience before we close?
Well, actually, I told you that I contacted my assistant and said, "Okay, I've got so much in here. Give me 3 time-saving tips for." Time-saving tips, and this is what he texted me. He said, "Mind shift away from procrastination because you can do that based on how you're looking at it." He said, "Mind shifting can restore order," and I love that because it does. And mind shift away from cluttered, disorganized thinking. And procrastination, disorder, and cluttered thinking are all huge time wasters.
Absolutely. So if we had to look at, let's say, cluttered, disorganized thinking, what's one thing that we could do out of your tool set that we could do to help people?
Stop writing everything down. Just make a little list. Beginning of the morning, make a list of 3 things. Actually, I do it at night before. Make a list of 3 things to look at, and you put the most important at the top. Or you even put the most difficult one, you do that one first. Because when you do the most difficult one first, all of a sudden, yes, you are in power.
Makes you feel awesome to get that hardest one done. Everything's easy from there, right?
That's right. It's what Mother taught me, by the way. Let's leave it with a little bit of mother wisdom. Mama Peggy is what we call her, by the way. And she would always say, you eat your best food first, then you always have your best left.
That's what I do too when I'm eating. Everybody's got a method of how they eat. It's interesting, or how they eat corn, right? Different ways to eat it. But that is so true. That's great mama wisdom.
Yep.
Is do that hardest thing first.
Yeah.
So tell people where they can get a hold of you, where they can buy your book. Let's give them the gift of going through the book and getting the 10?
There's 12 MindShift exercises in this, but I have over 100 MindShift exercises that I've created over the past few years to make them simple, because my poker coaching clients would say, what do I need to do? And I said, well, you just need to shift your mindset. And they'd go, how do I do that?
Right. Well, that's what everybody else is thinking, as they're listening, like, yeah, okay.
And my verb is simplify. So that's why they said, write it down. And that's what happened. That's why the book came out, MindShift On Demand. You can go to MindShiftOnDemand.com. It's a very simple site. You can have opt in for a 4-minute audio of a MindShift exercise. As a matter of fact, it's the one that I walked you through last week, Penny. And it's a quick audio of me explaining it. And then I want to tell you right now, that's all you're going to get from me, because I don't have a whole lot of emails on that list. A lot of people, you opt in and you get email after email after. You won't get that from me, because I need to reactivate myself, because on the top of my list is to start being more progressive in relationship to communicating with people. On Facebook, I'm easy to find, facebook.com/Big Girl Poker, because that's my brand, is because they'd say, that big girl over there playing poker, I want to play with her. And so that's my brand. On Twitter, it's Big Girl Poker. On YouTube, it's Big Girl Poker. So
awesome. So you'll be easy to find.
I'll be easy to find. And if you see me out on the street, well, that's that big girl over there. It's probably Donna.
So thank you so much for being here. I got to know a little bit more about how awesome you are, and everyone wants more. I know they do, because there's so much more to be had. So many great tools. So thank you so much for being here.
Penny, I am honored to share time with you.
And thank you all for being here. And I know that you took away some great nuggets, and I know that you've got to get that book. So it's not a maybe, it's not a sometime later. I want you to click now on the link and go to the site and get that book, because these are 12 simple MindShift exercises that you can use in every area of your life. And just pick one to start practicing tomorrow, the one that feels the most impactful for you and the easiest for you to implement, because that's what it's all about. It's not just giving you tips on this show, but it's you putting it into practice, because that's how we get started. That's how we get results, is get started. And then after you're good and you've practiced that one, then you can add another one. I can tell you that, I took, NLP as well, and I do MindShift things as well. Donna has some good stuff. This is incredible, and I'm going to be poring over her content and practicing her content, because it is really powerful. So there's a lot of different people that I've seen their stuff, and it's good. This stuff is really good. This is super, super powerful. So you need to get that book and put this into practice. So, okay, enough of me ranting about how awesome Donna is. You guys, thank you so much for being here. My name is Penny Zenker, and you're listening to Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode.